The White House confirms that a truce has been reached between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin to halt attacks specifically in the Black Sea and on energy infrastructure.
Now, the ceasefire will take effect immediately. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us now. So, Kelly, there you're on the White House lawn. What do we know about this deal so far? Has the White House spoken out yet?
Well, they've put it out in a printed statement, and this has been a very tenuous set of circumstances where they've been trying to get to some sort of partial ceasefire. And this is an incremental positive step that the White House says is looking good based on conversations that have been happening in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So this is a narrow peace where the Black Sea, which is a critical point for international commerce and so forth, that they would stop fighting in that area. They would stop fighting that targets energy infrastructure. So there's a lot of other things that could still be aspects of a hot war here. But this is a sign of progress. And notably, the statement says that the U.S. will work to free up markets for Russia. Remember, when Russia illegally invaded Ukraine 3 years ago, the world in many different forms, including the United States, put sanctions to block Russia from benefiting from being a part of the economic marketplace on the global stage. And so this is indicating that they would reopen some of those avenues. That's obviously a great benefit to Russia, and certainly for Ukraine. They want to see fighting reduced and, at least in this area, brought to a halt. So far, it appears that President Zelensky has agreed as well. But we've seen how in these volatile circumstances, even bits of good news, we have to tread carefully until it's implemented.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Kelly, this deal, of course, it's coming shortly after a U.S. delegation spent days there with Russian and Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia, and they were essentially ironing out the specifics of a ceasefire. But what do we know about how those discussions ultimately went? How did we get to this place?
Well, we'll have to get more of a readout on how they got to this final conclusion, but they have put in the work. We saw that there was a direct conversation between President Trump and Vladimir Putin by phone, where there were discussions about what they were hoping to achieve. We also saw how President Zelensky came to the United States, had a testy meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office and other top officials, and then after that tried to work to repair some of the disagreements that erupted in that setting. Clearly, the president has said he wants to see an end to this fighting, but he's been reluctant to put a lot of the blame on Russia, even though the international community has done that. We're at a point where he's trying to get to an answer of bringing about peace. The big questions will be Zelensky and his side say that Russia has not shown a credibility in keeping agreements. That's why part of this, positive to be sure, but needs to be monitored carefully.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.